Welcome to Brown Girls Happy Hour. Happy weekend. Happy Saturday. Hope you're doing all of you are doing great. Today we are going to make a cocktail with one of our guests who's going to join us soon. She is the author of her name is Payal Doshi, and I think I'll wait for Daman to join and then we can get started. Okay. Yes.
Hello.
Hi, Daman. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Saturday's a little bit crazy, but yeah. I'll invite Payal as well.
Oh, she's here?
Yeah, she
Okay,
is.
cool.
She's joining. Let's see. Okay.
Hi, Payal.
Hi, this is my first live, so I'm like, okay, can you see me? Can you see me?
Yeah, we can see you, we can hear you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, we are too.
Yeah. So I
So,
think,
Yeah.
yes, Daman, go ahead.
so before we go on, Payal, do you want to introduce yourself to the viewers?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Payal Doshi, and I am the author of Ria and the Blood of the Nectar. It's a middle grade fantasy book that follows 12-year-old Ria Chetri, who lives in Darjeeling, India. And she goes on this thrilling and secret quest to find her brother Rohan, who goes missing on their 12th birthday.
Oh,
So one thing leads to another, and she and her friend Leela portal into this magical world of Astranthia to find him. And there are evil creatures, there's secrets, there's an evil villain, there's magic, there's a lot of friendship and a lot of heart. And I hope that readers enjoy this. And it releases June 15th of this year.
oh wow, it's coming close. Congratulations on
It
your
is.
book.
Thank you
Yes,
so much.
congratulations, and we are so excited to read it as well. And I love the cover of the book too. It's
Thank
amazing.
Yeah.
you. No, it was like this fierce Indian girl on it. Like, do you remember reading books like that when we were kids, with an Indian
No.
girl on the cover? Nope. So
Not at
I'm
all.
very, very excited. I'm like so excited um and proud.
And
Now
I
we can
also
find.
love that it's the sister who's going to protect the brother. So I like that part.
Yes. And it's like it's like there's a very subtle twist to the Ramayana in this. Like if you know the Ramayana and you can follow plot points, you can almost see how it has switched into the way either the sisters rescue the brother or like Sita's rescuing Ram. It's very
Oh,
subtle.
we are already sold. I love
Yeah,
books like this.
super excited to read it. And I think we can make the cocktail now, and then we'll get back to the book and the
Oh yeah,
discussion.
Okay,
for much more
I'm
fun.
ready. I
Yeah.
even got
So
dressed up from it. Okay, I'm
I love
following
the
you guys.
earrings. So you need any glass of your choice with some ice in it, and you need a shot of any whiskey you have. I have bourbon, so it's like
Can I use gin?
yeah, feel free. We are
Yeah.
never strict about recipes,
Okay.
so anything.
I hate whiskey. My husband loves whiskey, so we have enough at home, but just
So
like it
maybe you
doesn't go.
can make this version for him later.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So
And
this
then
is
we add.
about ounce and a half of liquor.
This is good enough for me.
And then you need grapefruit juice. I don't have juice. I have this soda, so I'm just gonna use that. Ooh,
A
look
lot
at the
of gin.
bottle.
Yeah, I got cranberry juice. I feel like our liquor is going, all three of our liquors are going to look completely different.
Yeah. So
Uh,
I love this recipe because it's already done. They have
yeah,
made cocktail
it's easy.
already.
Yeah, it's very easy.
Yeah, so different,
Yeah.
all of them.
Mine just looks like grapefruit juice.
Mine is the only one that looks like a
Yeah,
whiskey cocktail.
it does. It does.
Yeah.
But
All right.
cheers, nonetheless.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I like it.
It's nice.
I like it too. I put cranberry juice instead of grapefruit because I didn't have it. So yeah.
That's why grapefruit is always a little tarty,
Yeah,
but it's
right.
nice. Like it's a nice Saturday brunch drink.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I guess it will pair well with gin also. I can see that.
It does. It does.
So we are dedicating this drink to your favorite female author. And we want to know why you love her and why do you like her writing or her stories? What is it about her?
So my favorite female writer is Elena Ferrante, who has written the Neapolitan novels, all four of them, starting with My Brilliant Friend. I I I absolutely love the way she writes the story, the way she understands the human experience, the way she particularly understands female friendships and generally all of the complexities that that exist in us as women, from societal to personal to marital to friendships. Um, she just has this way, this really easy way, but it is so full of depth. Uh, and whenever I read her books, and I remember reading this series, it is hands down my most favorite book and book series of all time. I would literally just get lost. Like I would forget about everything around me. And I have very close female friends as well. So reading about, their friendship in this story was just incredible and so true, because all friendships, especially female friendships, however close you are, there is a little bit of competition. Sometimes there's envy, sometimes there's jealousy, but really at the heart of it, you are just there for each other, like really great portrayal of female friendships. And just the story she weaves, like I felt like I was there in that small town in Italy, like when they went to the seaside, I was there with them. I just love her. So she is my favorite author. And a really cool thing about her was that for the longest time, nobody knew whether she was male or female. And it was a big discussion in the book community, on either sides. I mean, I was pretty confident she was a woman. I feel like only a woman can write
Yeah.
so cutely about women. And so and what was amazing was that she was humble enough not to be, and the books were doing so well. And she preferred to just, take the back seat and not take any limelight. And she wrote for truly the love of writing. And she's just magnificent at it. And so cheers to Elena Ferrante.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, I was actually, I read like the premise of her book and they were amazing, especially because, Daman and I are always talking about how female friendships are not really portrayed in book. So
Yes.
I was really excited to.
I'm telling you, guys will love it. You will not regret it. And each of the four books are just amazing. It's not easy to sustain a series also for and keep it that good.
I think I'm meant to read this next because
Please
recently
do it.
I have had at least 4 or 5 people tell me about her books and this series. So I think it's like a sign from universe that this is your next book. You have to read it.
Yes, you should. You won't
Do
regret
you
it.
think her writing made any contribution to the way you wrote in your story as well?
No, because she also writes adult fiction. I would say for me, the influences for my writing specifically came from Enid Blyton books that I read as a kid. And my most favorite book as a child was Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. And those were the books that not necessarily influenced the way I wrote, but the way I wanted to tell a story. So if you think of Anne of Green Gables, Anne Shirley is like, she was one of those kids that, I was probably 10 when I read the book. And she was a girl, she's an orphan, she's rough around the edges, she says what's on her mind. She doesn't, she's not prim, she's not proper, kind of, the rhetoric that always, especially back, whatever now, almost 30 years ago, was being told. And it was just such a joy to read about a kid who was just who she was. She had this huge imagination. Um, it was just like I just something in me blossomed. I was like, this is amazing, and I kind of wanted to use that type of a character in my book where she's rough around the edges. She's a flawed character. She's selfish quite often. She's trying to figure herself out. She's trying to figure out her place in the world, and she's not Miss Prim proper or anything. She's just really a kid who's trying to figure stuff out. And then with the Enid Blyton books, I feel like they just always left me with such, from the famous Fives and Secret Sevens, they were just, fun adventure stories. They hooked you as a reader. They were innocent, but they were just joyous and, just a joy to read. And I kind of wanted that in my story as well. It was a very important part for me when I was writing my book that I wrote a story with Indian kids, but that was not rooted in anything sad or depressing or, where it's like, we have this poor life, we're so sad. That's kind of the rhetoric again, unfortunately. Right. It's not that it's not true, okay? I'm not saying that. Definitely it is. And those stories are also very important. But I didn't want to write an immigration story because I'm not a kid of an immigrant. I'm still Indian. I just live in the States, but I'm still Indian. And I want to talk about the kids from India who still live in India and who never see themselves as heroes and kids with magic and like they being the ones saving the world. They are the ones who are, probably riding dragons or, doing like fun stuff. And so that's kind of where all of those things sort of came together. Obviously, Harry Potter was also a big influence, although right now with J.K. Rowling's tweets and stuff like that, it's really sad. I don't, yeah, right. I can't deny the truth that the stories 100% played a massive role. They probably influenced my writing the most because I was also at that age to pick up on writing technique and, kind of what I loved about her writing. But we won't spend too much time on her.
But since you brought up Harry Potter, I feel, and it's also a big thing on internet right now, that the two Indian girls were kind of like, not given their fair share or even like proper dresses. Like the whole Yule Ball lehengas is a big thing on like Brown Girl Mag right now. Where artists are coming forward and creating like actually what lehengas look like, not what they were
exactly, and what they could have worn and what they wore. Exactly. But you know what the thing was? I remember when I read about Padma and Parvati in the books, I was like, what? I was so excited. And then only now, and again, as you grow older, and then everyone's like, okay, it was crap representation. It was representation, it was crap. That I was like, yeah, that's true. But it just showed that we were so starved for representation that we did anything.
Right.
Yeah. Anything. Oh, they are mentioned in this, 7-book series, maybe 4 times. I was thrilled. Like, wow, I was so thrilled. And now looking back, I'm like, okay, maybe, she could have done more. But she did that much, and that satisfied my soul. So it just shows how much it still needs to be done. Because that's not enough. That's not correct either.
I mean, it's almost as if, like men write stories about women and they're so wrong. So it was like that, white people writing about Indian, and then they don't, they write like how they perceive us, but, they won't know what exactly goes into it, right? Like
100%.
And that's why it's amazing that you are writing a female superhero kid who is Indian, who is representing South Asian voices. And we really appreciate that.
Thank you. And it's not about her being Indian, it's about her being Ria, just a kid. It's like when I first started writing this book, my thought was, why can't, Harry Potter be Indian? Because Harry Potter we don't associate him as a British kid. It's not about his Britishness that makes Harry Potter so cool. No, it's just about him and his part in the story and his role in the story and everything that he does that makes Harry Potter who he is. It doesn't matter whether he's British, American, African, Indian, Australian. It doesn't matter, right? But if you write about an Indian kid, it's suddenly about oh, her Indianness, and tell us more about where she's
Yes.
from and what and it's like, no, I'll tell you what is needed in the story, but beyond that, she's Indian like someone is American.
Right.
Very well said.
Very passionate about this. So.
Did you always want to write a book for middle grade children, or did you start as something else and then it turned into,
Yeah, no, I was never one of those kids who knew what I wanted to do, to be honest. I had no plans of being a writer, never thought about it. I love to read, but so many love to read. I was in the UK, I was getting my master's, and I was like 22 at the time. And then there was a guest lecture from someone who came from Macmillan Publishers to talk to us about the book publishing industry. And that was the first light bulb moment where I was like, wait. I can turn like my love of reading and books into an actual profession. Like I hadn't thought about it because growing up also, as you guys would know, that most of the Indian authors were very literary. And,
Right.
the books were great. I didn't read too many of those because they were, little too literary. And so it never occurred to me that I could be that. And I didn't think that there was anything else because that's all that they were. So I didn't like the Amitav Ghoshes and stuff. Like, no, I mean, those guys are incredible. But so anyway, so I never thought about that. So anyway, so when I was at that lecture, I was like, wait, that's amazing. So I interned at Pan Macmillan Publishers for the summer before I came back to India. And that's when I was like, I really want to pursue something in this field. I moved back to Bombay, where I'm from, Mumbai. And there we have the magazine industry, which is huge because the book industry is in Delhi. And so I got into magazine publishing. So I was a features writer for a couple of magazines for a few years. And then one fine day I think I was writing a story about like the 50 must-haves for spring in your home or something like that. And I was like, I can't do this. Like, I cannot do this anymore. I was so fed up of, writing things like that my editor was telling me to write. And some of it was just, 50 must-haves, which is nothing wrong in that. But I just felt like I needed something more. I wanted to write about something I was passionate about. Sort of pure frustration, the following weekend, I think, I had powered up my laptop and I was like, I want to write something I want to write. And I had no idea what that was, zero. But I took a moment and there was no pressure, right? Because I wasn't thinking of writing a book or being an author or nothing. So I just wrote 2 paragraphs. And it's funny that those 2 paragraphs, the idea that I had in those 2 paragraphs, it was about a girl, she was 8 in those 2 paragraphs. And she goes off into the woods and something creepy / magical happens. And that same thing exists in the book today. And so that's when I wrote those 2 paragraphs and I was so happy. I was like, this is what I want to do. And then I developed that into a whole plot and I started writing. And then that was so I was probably 24 or 25 when I decided to write the book. And the funny thing also is that when I wrote those 2 paragraphs and then subsequently the draft after that, I wrote all of them with white characters. So Ria was Rose, Rohan was Bryant. They lived in the English countryside somewhere. They had a housekeeper and they ate pancakes and syrup and stuff like that. And I say this because, I wrote the whole first draft like that and I didn't think anything. And then my writing teacher, I did a writing workshop. She pointed it out and she's like, why? She was quite irritated with the fact that when I read out a bit and I was so nervous, excited. And she was just like, why are they all white? Why aren't you writing about Indian kids? And it's not that you can't write about, white or any other culture or race. If you do your due diligence and research, yes, you should and you can. But I didn't think about it. The thing that intuitively I wrote about white kids because I didn't realize that everything that I had read so far and up to that point in my life, and I'm talking about when I was 24, 99% of it, and 100% of my books in my childhood, the age category that I was writing for, were all white characters.
Right.
And it didn't occur to me to write about myself or my experiences or being Indian or Indian kids. It just did not come into my mind for the whole first draft. And again, that speaks to the point that there is such a lack and such an urgency to have these books because for the next generation and even for the current generation, they should not, if they want to write something, they should never have to think of writing about some other culture or other nationality just because they don't think, like subconsciously, I didn't think what we had to share as Indians was interesting to read. And which is why I never thought to write about it. And there's so many like me. And that.
Yes, you're so right. Like now that I think about it, and we actually don't even like think about it. We're not
No.
aware of that. So I used to go to the library, school library, and they used to have just like books written by white authors and like characters that had white children, and I was like, and I never thought about how much that was needed because of course I was too young to think about all of that. But
Yes.
now that you say it, I think that is so true.
Yeah. And this was also back in the time when we didn't have the internet, we didn't have Instagram, we didn't, like, the kids today are so much more aware of the world around them and the social politics that exist in our world. And identity is such a big deal that it's so important for them to know that their identity as Indians, South Asians is, to be celebrated, to be proud of. For them to see themselves and be validated that, yeah, we too can be, the heroes of a story or the main characters of a story. We don't have to play second fiddle, and we certainly don't have to accept ourselves as the Parvati and Padma Patals of literature.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
When you were writing this book, did you have like a routine that you followed, or did you take your time as and when inspiration strike?
No, when I wrote this book took me a ridiculously long amount of time to write. It took me nearly 10 years to write. I think a lot of that was also, I should say, there was a bit of lack of discipline. I moved to the US to do my master's, and ironic in creative writing, because I had studied business management and did my master's in business management. So I had no, educational training when it came to writing. And so the master's really helped me. But the ironic thing about doing a master's in creative writing is you probably do the least amount of creative writing because you're doing assignments and you're doing, things like that. So I didn't write really for 2 years. And anyway, so a lot of life happened in the way. But my writing routine is so different now, especially because I have a 3-year-old daughter and time is a luxury, to say the least. I would say free time or peaceful time is a luxury. And so I now have, she goes to school 4 days a week for 4 hours. So I capitalize on those times that she's not there. And initially I would procrastinate, like, when you have time in abundance, it takes you, I would take, a good hour to get into the scheme of things. I'm like, okay, now it's like, go. You don't have enough time. But I would say for me, like I'm writing drafting the sequel right now. Because of my situation, I don't put any pressure on word count goals or anything like that. It's sitting down and trying. The goal is to write every day, because even that doesn't happen. Like this whole last week, I wasn't able to write because of, a bunch of other things happening. But the goal is to find the time to write. Some days it's 500 words, some days it's 800 words, sometimes it's nearly 2,000 words. And the goal is just to keep doing that until I reach the end of the first draft. And the first draft is always such a colossal mess because you are just concocting this whole new story out of thin air. It's only in the revisions where you can start polishing and rewriting and correcting and, making it like an actual narrative story. I'm terrible at first drafts. They are a pain for me. It is the bane of my existence. I love it, but I hate it equally. So for now, it's find the time and then just write as much as I can in that time.
Yeah, that's awesome, actually. I mean, at least you're writing, I guess.
Yeah. That's a big thing.
Yeah. It's a huge thing. I mean, if I get 300 words in on something, like, yes, I mean, the crappiest 300 words I'll probably delete later. It's like, at least I had that because I didn't have that the day before.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, next question that I have is, since we are a book podcast as well, what are your favorite reads? Or like, actually, what are you currently reading? Because when I think about favorite reads, I'm like, I can't choose, like my favorite. But yeah, what you're currently reading.
Well, so currently I am reading a lot of my debut group. We are called the 20 Wonders. We are a group of middle grade and Y authors that are debuting in 2021. So we're called the 20 Wonders. And so I am currently reading their advanced copies. So
Okay.
I just finished one called Unsettled by Reem Farouki. It's a novel in prose. It's for middle grade. It's about a girl who moved from Pakistan to India when she was 13 years old. And it's her story of being uprooted from Pakistan and then settling into the US. And that's right. It was just amazing. But I actually do have a little tiny little pile of books as my favorite books, which I was very proud to find. Because you guys had sent me this question. I was like, okay, I need to. It's the most difficult question because you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. But I have a few. So one is, I mentioned this before, so
Yes.
it's Neapolitan novels. The next is Americana. I devoured this book. I related to, and this is another thing about representation, right? This is about a Nigerian girl who moves to the US and then, I don't know, won't give it away, and it's her story after that. And I related to her 100%, like every aspect of her life. And then even she goes and visits Nigeria, and I was so surprised to find out because how similar Nigeria is to Mumbai. And I was, again, you have these preconceived notions and stereotypes that you unconsciously have formed in your mind simply because of the rhetoric that is fed to you or the stuff that you continuously, just the one narrative that is fed to you. It was amazing. So again, if you haven't read this, Americana is
Yeah,
brilliant.
that's in my
I read
to-do.
her other book, which is Half of a Yellow Sun, which is
Yes.
also based in Nigeria, and you realize how much in common is
Yeah.
there with the cultures.
Yes.
Speaking of Indian culture and the Nigerian
So
culture, and
similar.
even
Absolutely. And
history. I feel that book was based on the Biafra and Nigeria war, and I related so much with the whole Indian partition, like the way it was carried out. I thought like the history is just the same all over.
yeah, and you really hit the nail on the head because it wasn't just that Nigeria was so similar to, a city in India, but it was the culture. Like when she was talking about the family and the simple day-to-day life and the way that it was nearly identical to the way we grew up and the way our society thinks and the way we think and how, we also have drivers and we also have cooks
Yeah,
and we also have that, dichotomy existing together. And we understand the nuances of that. I mean, it was just incredible. And this is the other book this is probably the last book that I really cried reading. And I don't end up crying that easily in books, but where the Crawdad Sing by Delia Owens is just a beauty of a book. It is her prose is like poetry, but in the best way. Like it's lyrical, it's immersive, it's phenomenal. So those would be currently my most favorite.
Oh yeah. I think the where the crawdads sing has been on my TBR for so long
same.
now. I think I'm gonna pick it up.
I
My
picked it up because, yeah.
my TBR is too big. This entire shelf is something I've
Oh
not
my
gotten
God.
to. Then I've like other shelves in my house, so I don't know
And
when
we're
I'm gonna read
terrible,
them.
right? We will still buy books or get books
Oh
to
yeah,
add to what we read. And then, oh God, that TBR is always a teetering pile. I feel like one day it's also going to fall flat on my
I know.
face.
It's bottomless in my opinion.
It
I'm
is.
never gonna end it.
No.
Yeah. And so since we are in a happy hour as well, what's your favorite cocktail?
Oh, my favorite cocktail, hands down, would be anything that has gin, elderflower, and lavender.
Oh,
Oh wow,
sounds so
that's
good.
a good cocktail though.
It is. It's
You should have
amazing.
told us. We would have made that. It would have been delicious.
I would have to go and find elderflower liqueur and lavender. So no,
Oh, I have all the things.
you
All
have all.
three.
I love it. I mean,
That's
in
amazing.
life happy hour, then it was.
I'm the same way about cocktail things as I'm about books. Like I'll buy all these fancy glasses and I'll buy all these ingredients I use once and never again. So I have a lot of shit at my house.
It looks nice. Right? Like the bookshelves. I was going to point that, but I was like, oh, never mind it. So, stop my bookshelves.
Did you see my try visit cup?
I did. It's very cool. It's very cool. My study, unfortunately, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately, but it got turned into the nursery. So all of my cool Harry Potter stuff and all my book memorabilia has been put to
I
the side.
sympathize with you.
Thank you. I would like to magically create one more room in my house that's just for me.
I know, right? The letter never came.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still waiting.
I know, me too. I think I'll be waiting till like I'm on my deathbed or something.
I think I'm the same.
Well, thank you so much, Payal, for joining us today. It was so much fun discussing all things books and Harry Potter and representation of South Asians.
Thank you so much. I had such a blast. Thank you for this awesome idea of a very simple cocktail. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to dress up on a Saturday when I wouldn't have usually. And it was such fun talking to the two of you.
It was actually our pleasure. Do you want to tell our viewers where they should where they'll find your book once it's released?
Yes, actually, it is available on pre-order anywhere books are sold. So you can go to your local indie bookstore's website, Barnes and Noble's, Amazon. You can go on my website and you'll find all the links there too. So anywhere that books are sold, but it will be on pre-order and you should expect shipment around June 15th.
Awesome. Sounds great. Congratulations again, Payal, for
Thank you so
Best
much.
of luck.
And yes,
Best of luck
definitely.
with your work.
Yeah, we are your cheerleaders. We would be, rooting for you.
Let's
Yes.
cheer to Ria now.
Yes.
Cheers.
Yes, Ria. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.